Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and this is the Technique of the Month from Digital Photo Magazine. Now this month we've got a technique that's all about freezing your pictures in ice. Now I know what you're thinking, you're sitting there thinking, oh blimey, not more ice, it's been icy and cold all winter long. Well, don't worry, this technique won't involve you getting cold in any way whatsoever. So here's the picture that we're hopefully going to end up with, or at least something vaguely similar to this. But let's go back to the beginning, right back to the start. So this is going to be our starting image. This is the main image, the image that we want to freeze in ice. Now I chose this one for a really good reason. It's the colours. The colours on this are lovely and bright and warm, and they're going to contrast with the template we're about to use, the icy colour. But if you want to, you could try using a complementary colour. But I kind of feel like I want something a bit warmer in my picture. So this is what we're going to use. Okay, so let's get kicking off here. Let's go to Select and select All. And then over to Edit and choose Copy. So that's going to copy the image into the computer memory. In fact, we don't need this image anymore. We've done with it for now, so we can close it down. Now this is the template we're going to use, and it's got room on the template for one large image. Now obviously we're using a portrait image, so our template is in portrait format. If you're using a landscape image, just turn it on its side. But what we've got to do now is to put the picture into this black area here. So there's room for our picture. That's where it's going to go. And we're going to do that by getting the magic wand tool and clicking anywhere inside that black area. There will be perfect. And it'll make a selection of the black parts of the picture. Now, let's get our picture and put it in there. And we do that by going to Edit and choosing Paste, but not the ordinary paste. No, we're looking for the next one down. Paste into Selection. Click that and your selection will fill with picture, and it's the picture that we copied just a few minutes ago. But if you were looking really closely, you'll notice this picture is not the whole picture. In fact, it's almost all the picture, but more of the picture extends beyond the area that we selected. Well, that's okay, that's absolutely fine. The chances of getting this to fit absolutely perfect are very, very small. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to come up to Image, choose Transform, and then skate across here to Free Transform. Now that's going to bring up the Free Transform and the little handles around the corner. But one thing to check, up here on the options bar, make sure that you have Constrain Proportions ticked. Now what that'll do is it'll make sure that when we resize this image, it keeps it proportional, so it won't squash it out of shape and make it look all weird. All I'm going to do is just drag this handle down and in like so. And then we're going to go to the bottom right corner and do the same thing, just drag it up and in, so we can make our picture fill as much as the frame as we can, or as much as we want to. Again, it won't be a perfect fit, we're going to lose a little bit off the sides, but it's not too far off actually. When you're happy, just click the tick, like that. So that's put your picture into the icy template. And to be honest, it's quite nice like that. You could stop there quite happily. But if we really want that frozen look, we've got to put some ice over the top of our picture. We've got to make this look like the picture is actually inside ice and not sitting on top of it. Now to do that, we're going to use another picture. So again, it's on the cover CD. It's this one right here, the frozen top image. Now this is exactly the same image as the template, except it has nothing in the middle. So for this, we're going to go back to Select, choose Select All, and then Edit and Copy. So once again we copy this into the memory, and once again we can close this down and return to the template. So it's back to Edit once more. This time we're going to use the ordinary paste, not the paste into this time because that will really make a mess, but the ordinary paste like so, and our picture disappears. Well, hold on a minute, what just happened? Well, we pasted an exact copy of the image over the top of our template. So we've got to get that back. Now we need layers at this point. If you can't see layers, come up to Window and choose Layers. And here you'll find you now have a couple of layers. Depending on which version of Photoshop, or in our case Elements you're using, you'll have either 2 or 3 layers. But it doesn't matter because what we have at the top is the layer that we just pasted in, the frozen image right over the top of our template. So you can see our image is still there, it's just completely covered by this new frozen layer. So what we're going to do is to grab the opacity slider, and we're just going to drag that down to around about 50%. It doesn't have to be accurate at all because we're going to put it back to 100 in a minute. But what we want to be able to do is just see where our picture is in relation to the image we just pasted in. And now we're going to get the eraser tool from the toolbar, and we're going to get the opacity and drop it down to about 50% as well. Again, don't worry about being desperately accurate here, that's fine. But a nice big brush would be good, really big, sort of 1500 pixel area, something like that. And we're just going to erase away in the center of the picture, and we'll just work our way around with just a few clicks of the mouse. Now the reason we've got this set to 50% is because it won't erase everything in one go. It's going to build the effect up nice and gradually. But we're now going to get the opacity of the eraser and drop it even lower, down to about 20%. And we'll get a smaller brush as well. Let's drop it down to about 1000 pixels, somewhere around about that. And we'll just click around the edges a few times, just like that. There's no need to be accurate here because we're going to do a bit of fine-tuning in a minute. So what we've done there is to erase some of the ice, and that kind of looks okay. But if we put the opacity of that layer back up to 100%, you may find it's not quite as you wanted it. Now it really does look like it's deep within the ice. I mean, that's looking pretty good. We can see really nicely here that the whole thing is looking nice and frozen. But I want it to just come through a little bit in places. So a bit of fine tuning, still got our opacity at 20% for the eraser, so we can just give a few little clicks and just fine tune things. And if you've got something on your picture that looks a little bit more dramatic, for example, maybe this silhouette here, you want to bring that out, you can just fine tune it by putting a few clicks over specific areas of your image. Now I quite like just to see the corners coming through, but I like the way that the ice goes over the top of the framing there, the edges that we've put in. And that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's fit that onto the screen. And there you go. So there it is. There's how you can take an ordinary picture, freeze it in a block of ice, and I promised you, you wouldn't get cold, but your picture will look fantastic.